The title of this video will be uh, Spiritual Mechanics versus Walking the Spirit. Now, this subject matter took a long time to come to some sort of concise orientation so that I could precisely say what I wanted to say in conjunction with it and not leave any voids or gaps there, which would then increase further misunderstanding and disillusionment. Those of us who are, you're born again, new Christians, however we understand that, may decide we want to find out about more things. We want to know how God works. So we read different books about, say, healing, or about the word of knowledge, or about the word of wisdom. There's a number of books out there by different authors that would benefit you in this regard. There's Watchman Nee, or there's Kenneth Hagin, or Dr. Kenyon, A. Allen, John Robert Stevens, what have you. But see, the ultimate course of these books is that, let's say a man of God had happened a certain experience. So what you want to do now is you want to either have an actual physical reenactment of that situation, or somehow have something happen where you project in the spirit yourself doing it, and then getting the corresponding witness that goes with it. The more important thing is not that you necessarily duplicate the same exact way that man of God did what he did, but that you learn the witness of the Spirit in relationship to the activity you're doing. That's what makes it right. Not that it's written on a piece of paper, this is right, this is wrong, this is right, and that's wrong. Your spirit bears witness. And it takes a long time to develop this. It's an empirical study. Empirical means you have to actually have it happen. And of course, it may take on some, physical exterior evidences along with it. Now, as you grow, you'll develop a bevy of things yourself, spiritual experiences that you know about. And then some things will start to fall outside the sphere of things you thought you knew. But still, you know it's real. Now, to deny it and say, no, this is not of God because it violates this verse and that verse, is at one point maybe a safeguard you thought you were supposed to go about, because you sit there and say, well, if it goes against the Bible, then it's not of God. Well, the only basic platitude that Paul referred to in the letters was that that Jesus was the Christ and the Savior and all that stuff. Now, beyond that, it's pretty much a free for all. Plus a lot of specific and definite information. It's actually there in the Bible if you go in the original Greek to find out what it means. Which, in my opinion, the existing translations that are out there in English, either we should have a book barbecue, or use them for toilet paper. There are so many incongruencies and mistakes in idiom that the mistakes roll into the hundreds of thousands. So you learn the Spirit witness and so on, and now you're walking in the Spirit. You don't use documents anymore. You really don't read the Bible as much anymore. I do a fair amount of study, but the study isn't so much for myself. I'm doing it for the sake of other people who have basically have to live their life around the Bible, around something that's made out of pulp and ink, and almost basically bow down and worship it, to get them away from this crutch and deal with something known as the living God. Remember that thing about the living God? Believe in Jesus so you may not fall in the hands of, remember, the living God, not the Bible. The Bible didn't die on the cross, by the way. So you're walking the Spirit, and now you know how things work. Now what you can do is you can go back in and take those things which were formerly looked upon as mechanical features. You know, it's this way and that way, it's this way and that way, and see how you can incorporate them in your life to develop your spiritual growth, so that you can have more, let's say, spiritual mechanics at your disposal to discern things. One of the things I got into one time is about auras. I was never really one that got into auras, but I could play with it and say, okay, let's see what's going on in terms of auras. But then sometimes colors don't always mean bad things. There were many times early on that I was contacted by or in the contact of angels that were very black, and so I immediately assumed that they were demonic because of the color. So even while I was in the spirit, somehow part of my flesh got in there, my mind got in there, and said, "Oh no, this got to be bad because it's black," and just which that's natural. I mean, that's not necessarily a bad reaction; it's a safe reaction. Say, "Hey, I got to get away from this." But then I found out that wasn't the case. And then in other cases, I'd be around certain principalities who were actually pretty large, and usually in a lot of churches, that would actually appear to be very much full of light, and then there actually were full-on demons, which names I best not bring on here. And of course, that leads into another subject matter. We have people that go to prayer meetings and they immediately pray. They say, "Oh, we bind the devil," And I watch it in the spirit realm when this stuff goes on. They open the door, it comes in the room, it causes disturbance when that. It doesn't touch me, but it messes up them and other people around them who are binding something that wasn't there in the first place. I mean, there's the devil, or is it other demons or cohorts? Are they all omnipresent? Well, in one sense, that's sort of true. They're almost in the same class with God. They're omnipresent, because in another dimension that they live in, different than we, yet in this dimension, they can in a sense be everywhere. But it's complicated. To explain this is maybe the best way. Somebody has once said it once before. It was like folded space. Every fold and every page in the book is a different dimension. For me, it's every split second in any direction is a different dimension, and a whole world in itself. And yet it's all compressed into a point. It doesn't exist, and yet it does exist. It's both of these things simultaneously. So the spiritual walk will still be spiritual, and you can become more and more spiritual. And once your eyes get opened up and you find out how you can use it like a tool, then you'll do like what Edgar Cayce did. First, he was like in a semi-trance, but in keeping with the Old Testament. Remember, the old men shall dream dreams, and young men shall see visions. The old man might not necessarily be someone that was necessarily physically old, but an old man in terms of somebody that was spiritually mature, because his old man was still alive, not dead, killed by the cross, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but anyway, he went into these trances, and then he started to ask questions like, well, maybe I should ask some questions about science, and then one thing led to another. It's, many thousands of readings about things about Jesus, and about the Atlantis, and about the pyramids. He came up with a thing that said that the pyramids were built there in Cheops, and I think he said 10,000 BC, which would basically be about 12,000 years from where we are now. Maybe he said 10,500 BC. Well, at first glance, when the astronomers looked at the thing, they said it was incorrect, but then they found out that the heavens went through a shift of about 15 degrees, which means that the opening of Cheops would have been opened to the star Pollux, which is the brightest star in the solar system as we know it, in the belt of Orion. And so it was correct. So these spiritual gifts not just about how to play church or discern gifts when that, but also used in science. How much further could we be advanced now had we done that to begin with? Be childlike and remain childlike all through our lives, and yes, to be scientific.